Stop looking at the stock market. Stop looking at your paycheck. The only number that actually matters right now is $39 trillion. And the terrifying part isn't that we owe it, the terrifying part is that we've reached a point where the interest alone is now a national emergency. Imagine you are sitting in a cockpit. The alarms are blaring, the altimeter is spinning backward, and the ground is rushing up to meet you. You turn to the pilot and ask how he plans to pull up. He looks at you, shrugs, and says he's just going to print a bigger map. That is the current state of the United States Treasury. Most people hear the number 39 trillion and their eyes glaze over. It sounds like a theoretical math problem or a typo in a textbook. But $39 trillion isn't just a number. It is a gravity well. We have officially crossed a line where the math no longer checks out, and for the first time in history, the people holding the steering wheel are starting to look nervous. The trap isn't that we owe money. Countries always owe money. The trap is that we've reached the point of no return, a mathematical event horizon where the interest on the debt is now more expensive than our entire national defense budget. We aren't just borrowing to build bridges or fight wars anymore. We are borrowing money just to pay the interest on the money we already borrowed. In finance, they call this a Ponzi scheme. In Washington, they call it Tuesday. To understand how we got trapped, you have to stop thinking of the government as a household and start thinking of it as a giant, infinite credit card. For decades, the US had a superpower, the world's reserve currency. Because everyone needs dollars to buy oil and trade goods, the US could print those dollars and sell debt to other countries. It was a get-out-of-jail-free card that lasted 80 years. But here is the hidden mechanism that no one talks about, the math of the spiral. Think of it like this. You have a $10,000 credit card debt. If your interest rate is 1%, you can ignore it. You pay $100 a year and go about your life. But if that interest rate jumps to 5%, and your debt simultaneously balloons to $100,000, suddenly you aren't just paying for your old dinners and vacations. You are working 40 hours a week just to keep the bank from taking your house. For 20 years, the US enjoyed free money thanks to near-zero interest rates. We feasted. We funded 2 wars, a global pandemic response, and endless tax cuts, all on the company card. But in the last 24 months, the bill came due. Rates went up to fight inflation, and suddenly, that $39 trillion mountain started generating interest payments of over $1 trillion per year. That's $3 billion every single day, disappearing into a black hole. It doesn't fix a single pothole. It doesn't feed a single child. It's just the cost of existing. The irony is that the more the government tries to fix this, the worse it gets. If they raise taxes to pay the debt, the economy slows down, and tax revenue drops. If they cut spending, they risk a recession, which, again, causes tax revenue to drop. Their only remaining move is to do what they've always done, print more money. But printing money is just a sophisticated way of stealing value from your savings account. It's a silent tax. Every time a new dollar is created to pay off an old debt, the dollars in your pocket buy a little less. This is the hidden trap. You aren't losing money because your salary went down. You're losing money because the denominator of the entire economy is shifting. There is a popular narrative that China or Japan will call in our debt and ruin us overnight. That's the hype. The reality is actually much more depressing. They don't need to call it in. They are simply stopping the purchase of new debt. They are walking away from the table. When the rest of the world stops lending us money, the US government has only one customer left, the Federal Reserve. This is the moment the snake starts eating its own tail. The Fed prints money to buy the debt that the Treasury issued to pay for the last round of debt. At this stage, the system isn't broken, it's functioning exactly as it's designed to, but it's designed to liquefy the value of the currency to keep the lights on. We are told that we can grow our way out of it. That's the academic answer. It worked after World War II because the US was the only factory left standing in the world. But today, our growth is 2% and our debt is growing at 7%. You don't need a Harvard MBA to see that those lines are moving in the wrong directions. We are currently adding $1 trillion to the debt every 100 days. It took the US over 200 years to reach its first trillion in debt. Now, we do it in the time it takes for a single season of the year to change. So, where does this lead? History suggests 3 exits, and none of them are pleasant. First, there is default. The US simply says, we aren't paying. This would reset the world economy, but it would also end the US as a superpower instantly. There is austerity. Massive cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and the military. This is a political death sentence. No politician will ever vote for it because they'd be fired before the ink dried. That leaves the third door, inflating it away. This is the path of least resistance. You pay back the $39 trillion, but you do it with dollars that are worth the price of a loaf of bread. You satisfy the debt on paper, but you destroy the middle class in the process. The uncomfortable truth is that we are likely already behind door number 3. We look at the stock market hitting all-time highs and feel wealthy. But if you price the S&P 500 in gold or oil or even eggs, you realize the market isn't necessarily going up, the currency is just going down. We are measuring our height with a shrinking ruler. The $39 trillion trap is unique because, for the first time, there is no adult in the room coming to save us. Both sides of the political aisle have realized that spending money they don't have is the only way to stay in power. The cliff isn't something we're approaching in the future, it's something we've already driven off. We're just waiting for the sound of the impact. We've spent decades treating the national debt like a joke, a boring statistic that nerds argue about on C-SPAN. But math is a cold, indifferent god. It doesn't care about your political party or your hopes for the future. It only cares that the books balance. And right now, they don't. Not even close. As we sit here watching that debt clock spin faster and faster, we have to ask ourselves a very quiet, very dangerous question. If the world's most powerful economy is built on a foundation of money that can never be paid back, what happens on the day we all stop pretending it can?